Now then, we are back for some more league racing, and this is WOR World Online Racing Round 7 at Canada, a track of course which is historic for me because a year ago we won here in the Ferrari in top split versus esports drivers on pure merit and pace alone in that wet race. So this place holds a special, place in my heart and very much a historic moment. But with that said, if you want to see that race from a year ago, I'll leave a link up in the top right. Definitely my most successful league racing video and my happiest memory ever. But with that said, I'm also going to plug the previous round, the Belgian Grand Prix round 6, link in the top right. It was actually a sprint race, so go watch it if you haven't done so already. And the final plug, if you're going to enjoy this one, leave a like and subscribe for more, as I try to do weekly league racing content. Now then, here we are at the end of my first time lap in qualifying. This is a short qualifying session as always, and we're going to see what the banker is as we make our way through the final chicane. I have fueled for 2 laps, so after this one we're going to turn everything down and go for a second lap.
Just 2 laps of fuel remaining now.
As we go P9, which is okay, 1 minute 9.8, not the most spectacular lap. My personal best is a 0.3 in time trial and a 0.5 in practice lobbies, so more time to find. And on my second lap, you can see here, I'm 2.5 tenths up. I've absolutely nailed this second lap, and I found a bit more time through the chicane, and we're going to improve by 3 tenths and move into the 109.5s, which for me is excellent, especially after the first run. So P3 for now. Eventually it got pushed back down to P9 as others improved, and we then went on to our second attempt. You can see here we're up by about 3/4 of a tenth as we make our way along the back straight into the, I believe, 6 and 7 chicane. We miss that apex with the right, run a bit wider, understeer and cut the left. So I actually decided to bring the car back to the pits. I was originally going for possibly a second lap, but I realised time was a bit tight, so I went back to the pit lane, put on another set of tyres and went again. And we are one of the first cars to go back out. You can see we've got 1 minute 30 to go. So let's see, as we go for our last try in qualifying to improve our lap time through 1 and 2 in 4th gear. Bit of oversteer on the exit and we're a 10th down already. We're going to try and recover that time though through the right left of 4 and 5. You can see we actually
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
hit the wall. I checked for damage and there was no damage on the car. You can see we've now recovered that entire 10th, and it was at this point I realised I had fuel, battery and time to go for another lap. So as you can see, I turned everything off, cooled everything down and went again, and we're going to cross the line with a second to spare. So here we go then, down to turn 1 again, then turn 2, 4th gear. This time you can see we're actually up on the delta instead of being a 10th down, so this is much better already. Through 4 and 5, carried the speed through there, right on the limit of track limits, and that was an excellent first sector. As we go purple on the brakes into the left right, little bit too cautious compared to last lap where we managed to find nearly a 10th. This time we stayed about the same in terms of our advantage. Through the right left chicane, that was about perfect through there with track limits as well, and we find a fraction more time as we improve in the second sector. On the brakes into the hairpin, trying to get the car slowed down, short shift to full and get the rotation, and we get excellent drive out of there as we're a 10th and a half up, making our way down into the final chicane. And this can break or make your lap. All or nothing, 5th gear, turn in, bounce over the curbs, shift to 6th, open the DRS, and we improve by nearly 2 tenths and move into a 109.336, which is enough for P8. And there is your final qualifying results. An extremely competitive grid here at Canada. The top 2 were definitely a cut above the rest in terms of pace. I do believe P3 was not a million miles away. P3 is less than a 10th ahead of us, and I feel like I lost or didn't gain that 10th that I gained on the previous attempt through the left-right chicane at the end of Sector 1, start of Sector 2. With that said though, very good result for both of us. My teammate in P6, Leroy Brown, so both cars in the top 8. For me personally, it's a PB in a session, so I'm very happy that I nailed it at the end. And there was more time to find as well, which is encouraging. So I feel like I'm peaking at the right time, finding pace when I need to. So qualifying done, both cars in the top 8. Let's try and turn this around in the race and hopefully aim for a top 5, maybe even a podium. And here we go, it's time for the race. First of all, we're going to talk and look at our strategy for this one. Starting on the hard tyre is going to be the preferred option, I think, that everyone is going to go for, and that is going to include me as well. Historically, the two-stop is the way to go here at Canada, but because of tyre allocations and the way they work, you don't get a fresh set as you burn up all your softs in qualifying, and you don't get an extra medium in qualifying anymore. So the two-stop has kind of become a thing of the past now, and the one-stop seems to be the better option, especially now that we can choose to start on the hard tyres, which wasn't a thing in last year's game, of course, due to regulations. So starting on hards and then mediums later on to follow, unless something were to happen, as we now get ready for the start of the race. 5 lights are on at the circuit de Villeneuve, around away as we get an excellent start off the line yet again. Very clean traction down to turn 1, side by side with Thomas Harvey, trying to be careful to not run into the back of my teammate in front as we try to get past the Alpine on the exit out of turn 3. We tried to look at the traction there, but we can't get ahead of Harvey, and we have to file in behind as we have left it behind in the Aston Martin. On the brakes, you can see left it goes for the move. We have to get out of it as there's contact and my teammate's involved, and we're still alive, but we've lost a couple of places, and that is really unfortunate as Lefted is the one to gain from all of that, as he took the inside line and benefited the most out of everybody. So yeah, we're still P8, we haven't actually lost a place technically, but could have been P6 had we chosen a different line at a different point on this opening lap. For now though, Lefted Harvey going at it in front, yellow flag further back. My teammate Leroy Brown has managed to get going, I believe with no damage, and has reconnected to the back of this DRS train. So yeah, I think in principle everything looks okay. These two ahead still trying to battle, but nothing's going to happen into the final chicane. So lap 1 draws to a close, and with everyone I believe on hard tyres, at least I can see in my sight, we're going to now kind of, you know, file in to this kind of race pace now, make sure that we stay within a second before DRS gets enabled on the next lap, and that's exactly what we did. All the way onto lap 7 now, and I'm not going to lie, I was extremely comfortable. Not a single warning up until this point, car working well, hard tyres felt great, and I also had a lot of battery saved up, about 80%, whereas a lot of other cars I know were a bit lower than me at this point. So I was doing a good job of managing the battery, because once you use it around here, it's really hard to recover it and get it back. So yeah, so far so good. And on to now lap number 8. I'd say at this point you're considering strategy. You know, how can we break this DRS train? How can we make things happen or change a bit? On the right hand side though, Jed Norgrove in the Red Bull has gone for a spin. Not sure on his own or got tagged around, but that is going to give us a place as we move into P7. So a +1 for us, and an easy overtake to make, of course, once the car is spun off the track. So we're up by 1 more. It could have been P5. Again, I can't help but think that. On to lap 10 now though, and we've got Nelson Alves in the Haas, who just started to struggle for pace a bit and actually broke the DRS train. So the top 3 have broken away, and it's up to us now to pass Nelson and also recover and basically reform the train. So Lefted goes by, and Harvey's going to follow, as Nelson won't have DRS. I'm not quite close enough to really, you know, take over here. Either way, I'm more focused on my battery. I value, you know, having a lot of battery charge, as that could make the difference in an overcut or an undercut situation in this race. So I'm confident in my pace. I feel pretty good up to this point, and we can just follow these guys. We are going to get our first warning through the chicane there at 3 and 4, as just cut the second apex a bit too much. On to lap 14 now, and Lefted is the first car to get a 3-second time penalty. So that is us technically into P6. I believe Thomas Harvey has overtaken him, although I think they're both kind of going at it at the moment and swapping places. You can see my tyre wear there briefly. Everything looks okay, and actually Lefted is going to pit and go for the undercut. He speeds into the pit lane though, and gets a 5-second penalty on top of the 3, so that's going to rule him out of contention, and that is going to move us permanently up into P6. Nelson Alves, you can see his light flashing, he's out of battery, and when you look at our battery, we're in a much healthier position. However, it was around this point in the race when I started to not feel so comfortable with the car. It seems like everybody else was able to raise their pace, and I wasn't quite able to match that kind of level. I don't know why, just didn't seem to have the confidence. Harvey Cohen now has a 3-second time penalty behind as we pick up our second warning for track limits through the 6-7 chicane. So yeah, at this point I was trying to get past Nelson, but I'll be honest, I was struggling to really get close enough, and I didn't want to drain all of my battery if I could avoid it in a single overtake attempt, because I'm going to need the battery to kind of catch back up to the top 4 and reform the DRS train. So yeah, I was just being patient and waiting for the right opportunity. This could have been the lap right now, but Nelson pit, I was getting pretty close, and I was going to try and go for a move into turn 1. But yeah, we're now P5. The thing is, this is now going to cause a big breakup in the train. I've got to try and gain 2 seconds on the cars ahead. Sergio Sobrino in P3 has a time penalty, so that is us technically in P4. We're going to speed the frame up here as we move further along the lap, and you'll see now into the hairpin. These two ahead are battling quite heavy. We've gained the gap to 1.5. We've used a lot of battery.
Okay, be careful. We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip anytime now.
And on cue, just as Elvis said that, we go for a devastating spin. And it's really annoying because we got the gap down to 1.5, and I was catching Sergio Sobrino. So we were looking at battling Thomas Harvey for a P3. Instead, we've gone for a spin. We're down to P12. Our tyres aren't too hot, so we're able to get going again. Marcus Towler in the pit lane, Jeffrey Ritchie as well. Sergio Sobrino pit on that lap as well. So we could have actually, we could have actually, you know, latched on to Harvey because Sobrino would have pit, and I could have used my battery to get behind Harvey and stay in the DRS. Instead, this is where we've been left as more cars are in, including Felipe Souza, Thomas Harvey. Back up to P6. At this point, I'm not going to pit. I'm hoping to just go long, as long as the tyres will allow me to, and hope that we get a virtual safety car or a safety car. Left is behind, who of course was the first car to pit, has now caught back up. He now has 11 seconds worth of time penalties, and I'm not going to defend here as he goes down the inside into turn 1. A little bit of lag, so just trying to keep my distance here to not have any issues. Up next is going to be Drake Dempsey in the Haas, and he is going to be right on the back of us by the end of the lap here. As you can see, he's going to go by with some DRS. I'm not going to put up a fight. I've already been dropped by Lefted as well, so you know he's pushing on, pushing hard. I'm trying to just be, you know, stay alive and hope for a VSC or a safety car. And I'm trying to hold and save that bit of battery that I've got left if possible. That would be, you know, ideal. Maloney in the pit lane, also Willem Ferrer, who was the net race leader, I believe. He's going to rejoin just behind us here. So we'll see. I'll try and drop him out of the DRS range if I can, but he's a pretty speedy guy, and it's going to be hard to drop as he won the last race. In the meantime,
Okay, we'll be given a time penalty. It will go against our finishing time at the end of the race. Get your head down and let's get it done.
we get our time penalty. A real shame because we've done so well for the first 10 laps. Once I got that first warning, I felt like my race kind of just fell apart, to be honest. And now you'll see Bulum is going to get by. His mediums are up to temperature. And of course, a fresh medium versus a 21 lap old hard tyre is going to be no match. So he goes by and gets the job done. Leroy Brown into the pit lane. So we couldn't pick this up even if we wanted to. And yeah, we're just going to basically just try and stay alive. We're back to P5 again.
Okay, clear.
And we're just going to hope now really would be the best time for a VSC. I mean, you know, before more cars get by, a VSC would be excellent. Instead though, Thomas Harvey, who we should have been battling with before the spin, is going to get the run here, and I'm going to let him go. I'm not going to fight him too hard. Just a real shame. It hurts knowing that, you know, we actually had, you know, alright pace, and I was actually in the mix, to be fair. I've done a great job with my battery, but at this point now I've lost focus. I'm starting to get warnings as I get another one through that 6-7 chicane. And lap 23 I ran a bit deep into the hairpin, which is going to put Nelson Alves onto the back of us here. And again, I'm not going to fight this one, there's no point. We're in a different race. Another guy who we were battling with in the first stint. He's going to go by. I'm going to just lift off a little bit just so that they can make the move. He actually ends up running extremely deep. And if I were racing, I'd just get the run and go for the re-overtake. But obviously, I'm not focused on trying to get back past because it would just be a pointless overtake. So yeah, all these guys out of battery, by the way. You can see where we were doing so well with the battery, especially before the spin when I was on 80% before the pit stop happened. It was all looking so good for us at first. But anyway, we get another warning. That's number 5. So at this point, we're probably looking at a 6-second time penalty, to be honest, as I've lost my head at this point. We speed the frame up though, and you see Jeffrey Ritchie in the top left is closing in. Gap is half a second, and he's now going to be the next one to look for a move. But I make a mistake and have a moment out the hairpin yet again. Just no rear traction on these tyres at this point. They're pretty second hand, so Jeffrey gets by, and so is Marcus Towler. I closed my DRS to let him, get ahead before the braking zone. Another car with no battery, and yeah, Marcus goes by. That's us down to P9 now. On to lap 25, we have Harvey Cohn behind. Left it as retired as we get our second penalty. I believe left it retired due to penalties, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Also, bottom right, you see my tyre wear is now kicking in as we're over 60% on these tyres. I'm still holding out for a safety car or a VSC, that's my only hope. Harvey Cohen now in the Red Bull approaching. He's not close enough for the move here, so we'll let him go by on the pit straight as we race down towards turn 1. You can see he's getting the run. Yellow flag or green flag ahead, and there goes Harvey. And Harlan Marquez is out, and we've got a safety car. So,
okay, slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast. Reduce your pace.
We're back in the race, which is good. Only to some extent though, because we have a 6-second time penalty. There are a few more around us. I'm going to pit, and look at the delta here. We just miss out, and
drive-through penalty. You've got a drive-through penalty.
I don't know what to say about this. My delta disappeared for us, for like a second right before we pit, and also as far as I'm aware, under safety car you can speed into the pit lane and not get done. I've done it at Silverstone before.
Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this compound.
But for some reason, I think it might be track specific, and at this track you can't do that because you gain time in the pit lane. So that is going to ruin our race. A drive-through is devastating. Now, I thought, why don't I serve the drive-through on the race restart straight away? Once we go green and everyone is back under full racing speed, we can serve it, because I'm expecting chaos to happen on this first lap, and I could, it's a short pit lane. I could try to catch back up. I've got a fresh set of soft tyres, so we're going to go straight to the pits and waste no time. However, the game doesn't want to serve it, and yeah, game over. I thought it'd be a green flag. Turns out no green flag up until turn 1, and yeah, race over. Not much more to add really. Just the regulations a bit grey in some areas. Things that I've done in other circuits have been punished for, which is really annoying. So, getting that drive through, I've done it at other circuits. I've never had that before, and then also normally you'd be allowed to serve the drive through the way I did in real life, but for some reason the green flag wasn't waved, at least not into the final chicane, and apparently that might have been the reason why. So a race to forget, and it's been 2 bad races now. After getting a podium in Silverstone, it's been 2 L's back to back, so not ideal, guys. Either way, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. I'll try and bounce back in the next one, and yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. As always, a massive shout out to the members. Check out the videos on screen. And yeah, guys, I'll see you next time. Hopefully, it's a better race. Until then, take care. And it's goodbye from me.